You found the skeleton. How would you tell people that is you personally? How would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this, Dapper Reacts, because I don't really have another thing to name it, and I don't want to have to come up with a new name for a new show. Yeah, that's what that is. I am joined by Vishanti. Unfortunately, Maddie had some family obligations this week, and so we couldn't do Matt with Maddie. And so I decided that I would lower myself to have Vishanti on again.
I came back to let you know.
Oh, for $2?
You gotta lower yourself.
No, I don't. Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $2 says, entertain me as I pack for a conference with Mothra, and we sure will. I am drinking a Moscow Mule, although I had the wrong cup for it because I was an idiot and didn't get the right cup. But that's okay, because it's still pretty tasty.
I found a compilation video of Black people discovering that Bobby Caldwell is white, and the first guy that was reacting to it literally called his mom in the middle of the reaction. He's like, "Mom, you know Bobby Caldwell?" She goes, "Yeah, I know Bobby Caldwell, the singer." He goes, "You know he's white?" She's like, "Yeah, I know he's white." And bro's just mind blown. Got a thing for you.
Before we get into this, I do want to say thank you to Arrow Dodger for getting me a 8-bit Do Pro 3 controller, so that I can, when I'm playing games like Elden Ring or Lords of the Fallen, I have a nice controller that's Bluetooth rechargeable, claims to have a 20-hour battery life. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, thank you very much. That wasn't even on the wish list because you can, in fact, get me just about anything that I could normally put on my wish list, and you can just send it to me on Throne. So if you too want to get me a surprise gift, I literally can't stop you. Unless I just disable that, which I'm not going to anytime soon. So, I guess until people start, harassing me with weird, stupid stuff, like that life-size mammoth that I really wanted in Dubai that I didn't have a place for and still don't have a place for. Yeah.
I want it, though.
I do want it. I just don't know what I would do with it. I don't know that it would fit in the interior of this house.
Wow.
It's very, very... Well, actually... You know what? One of the rooms has a pretty high ceiling at one end because it's sloped. It might be able to fit if I slid it way against that ceiling. Although how to get it through the door, not a clue. Oh, my audio is crunchy.
Yeah, I was going to say. Everybody said your audio is crunchy.
I have not changed anything. Let me see.
Let's see. Question for me: which area of Jewish studies are you aiming to specialize in or studying? I mean, I don't know that it has a specific track yet, but I'm really hyper-focused on the Mexican Inquisition. That just kind of became my lane. So I've been reading through case transcriptions, pulling out various liturgy they preserved, learning about their specific practices, any poetry they wrote, song lyrics, things like that. So it's a very interesting niche and kind of depressing and infuriating lane to be in, but it also oddly prepared me to do a savage takedown of this one guy's project of claiming that there is a hidden Jewish education in this one tarot deck from Marseille, and it's complete horseshit. But
how am I doing now?
Sounds fine to me.
All right, well, that's weird because last time I had basically the exact same setup and it was not, people enjoyed it. So I have, you know what? I'm pretty sure that audio on this computer is mostly black magic. So
yeah, I think it's haunted.
Yeah. Let's see. Dutch Tunicate Official, who's been a member for 26 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says better than a life-size blue whale statue. Yeah, I definitely couldn't fit that in here. Although I don't know that you could actually put that on the wish list.
42 says that he didn't expect to hear about the Mexican Inquisition. Most people actually aren't aware that the Inquisition was in the New World and in the Philippines. So consider that today you learned.
I mean, if it's Spain, they had it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things you think Spain, like mainland. You don't necessarily think about all the colonies that they.
Spain meant something very different a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was parts of what we now think of as Italy, it was the Canary Islands, the Philippines, most of the New World. So, yeah. Also part of what's now the Netherlands, surprisingly. So.
Roachner for $4.99 says this video is so much better than dealing with black water in the bathtub. Like and share. It does sound better than that. Yeah. All right. So
mercenaries.
I'm assuming that it actually means the water classification, which is not a good thing to have in your bathtub. Let's see. Noram puts, who's been a member for 34 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says audio, analog inputs, digital outputs, clearly magic. That is true. There is a good point to that. All right. So in this video, Dan Biddle of Answers and Apologetics, the guy who thinks that the scientific consensus is that every dinosaur that ever lived was killed by the asteroid that made the dinosaurs extinct. This man, the man who thinks that if you just notice where lots of dinosaurs are, that means that's where there was a peninsula in the pre-flood world where all the dinosaurs lived, is here to tell us that North America used to be full of giants. Also, and Stevens just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships, so I'm going to take a quick 5 drinks while Vishanti tells you who the worst member of the Fantastic Four is.
Reed Richards.
Wow. I was going to say Johnny, but hey, you know.
I mean, look, just because Johnny's a chaos goblin doesn't mean that he's the worst one.
Fair. Although
I mean, he did help decipher, the Silver Surfer's language. So
he also got turned inside out that one time.
Yeah. Well,
different Johnny though, to be fair.
Yeah.
All right. So, now one thing that I want to point out here before we get into this is, first of all, this topic is deeply drenched in anti-Native American racism and colonial white supremacism and the erasure of the past of indigenous groups. And that is just going to be a thing in this. And if for that reason you decide, maybe I'll skip this one, that is understandable. And I will not in any way hold that against you. I get that. Because that is what we're about to do, right? The entire idea behind giants in North America started because European colonists could not comprehend the idea that the earth mounds that dot lots of North America were in fact constructed by the people who they found living there when they got there. And so they decided that it couldn't have been them, and it must have been, and there were various answers to fill in here, right? Like Joseph Smith came up with it must have been ancient Jews who came to North America. Some people were like, it must have been an ancient race of white European types that were destroyed by the current natives. And yet other people were like, nope, maybe it was the Nephilim from the Bible. So
I gotta say, out of all the racist hypotheses out there about architecture, saying that the Jews did it is one of the more entertaining ones because we're not exactly known for our giant architectural feats.
Yeah,
so
you look at Solomon's Temple and it's not actually that impressive, like in terms of size. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be big. It's just like, okay, well, it's a big ass square with some chambers and a courtyard and stuff. Like, okay, cool. That's like impressive. I would have liked to have seen it, but yeah, we weren't out there building pyramids or obelisks or cathedrals or mounts or whatever. Pyramids. Like
Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy Light for $6.99 Beaverbuck says, there's a reason there's a trope called Reed Richards is useless, Ghidorah. And that's true. And I'll take a drink for that.
That's it.
I mean, he couldn't even deliver his own daughter. He had to get Dr. Doom to do it for him. Although I think technically, wasn't it Ben that got Dr. Doom to actually show up?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember very few Fantastic Four storylines. The only one that stays clearly in my head is the one where they're fighting. I can't remember the name of the character, but Doom gets thrown back to like the freaking Cenozoic or something and is swimming around with Megalodon and ends up like living all throughout history to learn the most ancient magic possible. And then by the time he gets to the current day, you find like, oh snap, he was the big bad that they were fighting. And Reed's freaking out like, oh no, he's gonna vaporize us and things. And this version of Doom's just like, you are less than a fly to me. I've got other stuff to do. Bye. Like, you're just not that important. I'm like, ah! But they asked him like, how did you survive from literal eons? And one of the hardest lines in all of like Doctor Doom's history, my hate sustained me.
It's good stuff right there. All right. So I don't know where Dan gave this talk. I don't know exactly when he gave this talk. It was a fairly recent video on his YouTube channel, which makes me think it's a fairly recent video or a fairly recent talk that he gave. And apparently it's sometime in 2026 because it says that on the slide. So that's all I've got.
It's that recent. He's doing Giants in 2026. Cringe.
Well, as he says in this video, see, he talked with L.A. Marzulli, with whom you are very familiar. So let's hit play and we'll see. Wait, Triceratops says, surprise Vish, AIG is an endless field of obelisks. PS4 pelagic tunicates grows. And then Dutch Tunicate official for $2 says, he gets thrown back to this era, Vish? Well, earlier in this one. But we'll take
Did I say Cenozoic? I meant, what is the era that Megalodon was in? Mesozoic?
It's still it's still the Cenozoic.
It's just a very long age.
Yeah, it's a few million years.
Okay. Well, he was there, little tiny Doom swimming around in the ocean.
It's also possible that the writers thought that Megalodon was from the Mesozoic, and they just put him in the Mesozoic anyway,
I mean,
and then
whatever. It's like frick. It's a writer artist duo that commonly team up, and they did a really cool run on Fantastic Four. Brian something. It's been a long time since I've read this, but I just remember that line went really hard. So.
Oh, by the way, if we get to only 20 super chats, then we will unleash the host, and we can go R-rated on that one. So, and then there will be a subsequent follow-up goal for if we get to an additional higher value or level number. That's it. Anyway, I'm gonna hit play before I start mixing up more words.
It says the Cenozoic is about 66 million years old so far.
It's true, although I would say that Megalodon is not that old, so that puts a time constraint.
There's 4 things I want to say about Giants.
Why are you so quiet?
I want to come out and say, by way of a huge disclaimer, that this is a controversial topic. It's a conspiracy-loaded topic, but it's also a...
Hey, but every once in a while, I call creationists conspiracy theorists because it's obviously the case. And every once in a while, when I do that, some creationists come out and say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Creationists aren't conspiracy theorists. You sure about that?
Biblical topic. And there's 4 things I want you guys to think about before I get into this topic. The first is sola scriptura. And I know that has a meaning with respect to...
Okay.
Yeah. So for those of you not familiar, sola scriptura is the Protestant doctrine that everything necessary for salvation can be gleaned from simply a simple plain reading of the basic words of the Bible without any particular need for great amounts of insight or study.
Canon.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'll say this. I cannot use evidence to determine whether or not anyone is going to anything like a Christian heaven. So I can't say anything about salvation. What I can say is that people who believe in sola scriptura frequently come to what they believe are disagreements about what salvation is and how to get it and how to lose it or whether you can lose it or how to not help some people avoid it that are mutually contradictory. Which means, regardless of what's true about who is or isn't saved or whether that's even a valid category, sola scriptura does not actually work to guide Christians to come to consistent interpretations of the Bible and salvation. That is what I'll say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Roshina for 199 says, Alpha Omega conference held by ICR 4.8 through 4.12. You mean
April
4th?
this year.
Okay. But like it also says 8. Oh, 4/8 through 4/12. Okay, never mind. That I'm a dummy.
You all right, champ?
Nope. No, it's been a real weird day, and I'm only sort of okay for most of it.
Hey, it's a Tuesday, which means there's a new episode of X-Men 97.
I should probably get on that. All right.
To the Protestant Reformation, but it can also mean, you know what, I'm just going to anchor my worldview on Scripture, and Scripture has enough to say about this topic. If you read Scripture with a knowledge and an awareness of the Nephilim phenomenon of what was going on.
So, not sola scriptura.
Right. So if you read the Bible with all the crazy conspiracy theories that people like L.A. Marzulli spin, then it's obvious. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it the case that Nephilim only show up like twice, once in Genesis and once when describing the Canaanites in like Joshua?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Correct.
what I thought.
Yeah.
And also, I want to point
the people are so freaked out. They're like, "Oh no, the Amalekites are so crazy, and so we're scared. They're like the Nephilim."
Yeah. I do also want to point out that Nephilim does not translate to giant very well. The reason that we normally read it as giant is twofold. One is because while the reportedly giant Canaanites, although the report of that height is obviously hyperbolic, because they said we're like grasshoppers to them, and then when we finally meet a giant Canaanite, he's like 9 feet tall, which is really, really tall, but
That's a Philistine.
Not like you're as big as a normal human, and I am a grasshopper unto you. That's not even close.
It was just like that one guy.
Yeah. But in addition, the other reason is because the translators of the Septuagint chose to translate Nephilim as gigantes, which is in fact giant and implies giant size. But that's because of Hellenic Jewish traditions that had grown up since the compilation of the books that now form the Tanakh. And so, like, you can't realistically read that translation back into Genesis or Joshua. That's invalid.
The folk etymology of it being a conjugation of the word nafal, like to descend or to fall down, or the fallen ones, that's also not a great translation, because we're like, wait, who fell? What's going on? Yeah. So, yeah, I also want to say that trivia, I found the Flat Earth community on YouTube because I was just in one of those, like, hey, I feel like watching some slop, and I was watching stuff like Ancient Aliens, and I got on YouTube, and I was like, I want to watch some slop from Bible people, and I found, what's the name of the guy? He was one of the Flat Earthers that passed away from COVID after being a huge anti-vaxxer. Rob Skiba. I was watching Rob Skiba, and he starts talking about like the pillars of the earth, and he goes, well, this is another talk for another time, talking about flat earth. And I'm like, what? There's literal flat earthers? And that's how I went down that rabbit hole. So
thanks, Rob, I guess.
Then the Old Testament
Rest in
opens
piss,
up
weirdo
to
anti-vaxxer.
a whole other different way. It's like putting on a new set of lens. So if you just anchor your position and your perspective about giants in Scripture alone, there's over 20 passages of Scripture, including a whole half a chapter in 2 Samuel, that talk about this giant phenomenon. It's not just Genesis 6. It's permeated throughout all of Scripture. There's 14.
So remember, what he's doing here is he's taking a post-biblical idea about Nephilim, linking that to giants, and then taking any indication of anyone being particularly large as evidence of Nephilim, which is not sola scriptura, and in fact.
Different books that talk about giants. So that's the first thing I want to say is I want to be known, and I want our ministry to be known as a sola scriptura ministry and not some crazy giant chasing Nephilim conspiracy ministry, right?
Well, that ship has already sailed.
Conversation with L.A. Marzulli, my guy.
I'm taking a drink on this one. We don't want to be known as the conspiracy theory ministry. Now let's talk about a bunch of conspiracy theories, everybody. Jeez. And Matt, it wouldn't be any more ridiculous if he'd been like, now I don't want to be known as a conspiracy theorist, but I'm pretty sure 9/11 was an inside job. Like,
Did you know that the jet fuel can't melt steel beams?
I have heard about that. Yeah, that's true. It can't. That is in fact true. Actually, doesn't matter, but
Which
it is
fine,
true.
because you don't have to melt them. You just need to weaken them.
Yeah,
because
and
gravity does the rest.
What about the video of the molten metal? It's like, yeah, that was not steel. That was aluminum, which jet fuel can in fact melt because it has a much lower melting temperature. That's why people who do home casting in like sand molds use aluminum, because you can just get a regular old like home kiln and melt aluminum just fine. You can't do that with steel. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, you think an evangelical would have any familiarity with Hellenistic Judaism? Okay. That's a fair point. And I would like to say yes. And I'm sure there are a few out there, but yeah, my guess is it is vanishingly rare. So, yeah.
So everything I say, yeah, we're going to go in and do some branches. We're going to draw from archaeology and some skeletal evidence, some other books and things like that. But just know at the outset that our ministry is sola scriptura.
Just ignore all that other stuff I just said.
Yeah,
Rail got to Bello for $5 says, if I wanted to put on my Reddit fedora, I could argue the sola scriptura people are all conspiracy nuts, but I won't. I mean, to some extent, you're probably right. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, to be fair, the guy who invented sola scriptura probably was a conspiracy nut, especially since he seemed to fall into the most classic and most long-standing conspiracy trope of all, which is that everything bad that's happening is in fact the fault of the Jews. And he bases this on his pre-existing anti-Semitism.
Turns out he got really pissed off that we wouldn't convert after he tried really hard and was like, yeah.
Heaven forbid that you just let people who don't want to be Christians not be Christians and let that be their decision.
Unacceptable.
No. Arrow Dodger, remember, for 18 months at the Amniote level says, I guess the real Nephilim were always found in Shaq Fu for the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. What a weird game that was. I kind of want to explain Shaq Fu to like a Zoomer. I mean, like, all right, so there was this game, it was like a fighting game starring a basketball player who played before you were ever born. He retired before you were born. And it was only for these 16 or 32 or whatever bit consoles, and like just try to explain Shaq Fu and just watch none of it make any sense. Because to be fair, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I was around for it.
All you need to, in fact, for those of you who are going to watch our Noah Returns movie tomorrow, we end with the clip. We're not all the way done with the movie.
I love it. He has a sequel to his Ark in the Darkness, and it's called Noah Returns. Like, bro, what are you doing? This is not a Batman franchise.
But you're going to get to see how far we are done with the movie about Noah Returns. And we end with the part where Noah's about to explain the giant phenomenon because he lived there before the flood. And we're going to cut it right there. It's going to be the worst cliffhanger you've ever experienced.
This actually does point out an interesting little wrinkle in the whole Nephilim thing. Because if we want to say that the Nephilim in Genesis are the same as the Nephilim in Joshua, then we have to explain the survival of the Nephilim past the flood. Because
the text straight up says they were on the earth in those days and after.
Yep.
So I would like them to unpack that.
Yeah, the text also says that all flesh in whose nostrils was the breath of life that did not enter on the ark perished. So I guess the Nephilim were on the ark. Which, hey, that makes it handy because then we get more than 8 people who can help take care of all the animals. Maybe there was a full-on zoo staff of Nephilim zookeepers. The Bible doesn't say there weren't Nephilim zookeepers, okay? So, I don't know, maybe. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, somehow Noah returns. Jeez. That also reminds me, I found out about a mod for a shooter game today that is basically what I would have liked Star Wars Battlefront, the EA remake, to just be. And it's it's got 30-something maps and a bunch of different game modes, and you can have up to 50 players playing at once. I'm like, oh, okay, so the game that actually would have been better than the Battlefront 2 that we got way back in 2012 or whatever it was. Cool.
But our first one was
mod for a game, in my opinion, is I think for Skyrim, where you can change the dragons to Macho Man Randy Savage.
That is a good
and every
one.
time he's about to launch flame, yeah.
I do also like the Thomas the Tank mod that changed the dragons into tanks from Thomas the Tank. My current Factorio run, I'm using the mod that turns the player character from the engineer into an Adeptus Mechanicus tech priest.
Good.
Yes.
It's a bad cliffhanger too, but it's going to be fun because what we do with Noah is we say, well, he's going to say, well, yeah, there was a giant phenomenon, and then he's going to get a little bit emotional and say, I'm only going to tell you a few things about it.
Okay, I don't care about your movie, dude.
God only gave enough to know about the scholar of the Nephilim giant topics through extra biblical work. There's valid information there about the giants and all these extra biblical works, but they all are uninspired because they're outside the Bible.
Oh, so in this part, he was talking about Enoch. And hey, buddy, Enoch's only not in the Bible if you decide that you want to go with a particular Bible. It's in other Bibles. So let's just remember, if you're a creationist and you're watching this, the 66 book canon is a canon of the Bible. It's not the canon, and it's also the most recent canon. Well, I suppose we could argue that like the Mormon canon is more recent,
Also,
but that's not the Bible.
he can get very mad and salty about the fact that the Protestant canon doesn't include First Enoch. However, the Book of Jude quotes from Enoch.
As
so he's like, oh,
scripture.
well, it's not inspired.
Just the parts from Jude
that
are.
part was inspired. Yeah. But how do we know it's inspired? Well, it's in the canon. Well, why is it canon? Because it's inspired.
Well, so what happened was when Jude was writing his letter, God popped in and was like, hey, okay, Jude, this part of Enoch, really good. You should put that in there. The rest of it, you know, but like this part. And then he was like, all right, good luck. And then he left.
Olivia Williams and I, same page.
Yep, Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy Light for 279 Beaverbucks says, Jude called Enoch is inspired in the Bible. Yeah, it certainly seems to be, at least according to the Bible.
At least that one passage.
Yeah, I suppose that would have to be the retreat, right? Like, what other retreat would you have other than to say, well, it's only that bit? Okay.
I wonder if he's going to mention that. If he does, I'll go get my THC pen.
Okay.
And most of them have some degree of questionable authorship. The book of...
I'm going to take a drink as if that's not true for basically every book in the Bible.
Hey, who wrote the Gospels?
I mean, we have no evidence that it was guys named Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I was going to say it's not those guys, but like I don't have evidence that it wasn't guys with those names. So like, but we don't know. We don't know. Who wrote a large number of the works attributed to Paul? We don't know that either. Who wrote basically any book in the Old Testament, as Christians will call it? Not a clue on a single one of them. So like,
well, there are some books that we can attribute to like guys named that, but not many.
That's true. There's a few of the prophets that we have a good reason to think that they wrote at least some of their books.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the vast majority
of the Old Testament, like a guy named Isaiah probably wrote the first chunk of what we now call Isaiah, and then the rest of it was somebody else or several somebodies.
Fair. But overall, if you were to just randomly choose a page from your Bible and put your hand down there, we have no freaking clue who wrote that bit.
Mostly anonymous redactors.
Yep, the vast majority of the Bible is either anonymous or pseudo-epigraphical. The vast majority.
I was going to say, the more you kind of get into just a little bit of textual criticism and biblical academics, the more you realize, like, hey, they didn't sit here and obsess about plot holes because they didn't have a printing press. People didn't just have a copy they could pull up whenever they wanted. Most of the time, you're hearing it being read to you, and it's not super easy to pick up plot holes when you're listening to something being read to you. So this, like, wait, it says that there were giants before and after the flood, but that doesn't make sense because...
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Probably weren't thinking about that.
Probably not.
The only people who might notice are the scribes and the educated elite, and by that point, they're like, okay, whatever, who cares? That's not what this text is for.
Another example is a lot of times, especially in Genesis, like 1 through 11, the primordial history, you'll get sections where like some major thing happens. And if you're looking at the genealogical ages, you realize, oh, hey, a whole bunch of important people should have been around for this. And that is not ever addressed. It's like, yeah, it's because no one was conceptualizing these as like actual ages that they had to account for in terms of, hey, what was Shem doing during the Tower of Babel thing? Like, no one cares because no one actually thought of these.
Shem could have known Abraham.
Like, oh,
that's a
great.
plot point in the Book of Jubilees.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, one of the dumbest atheist takes I've ever seen was someone saying that the Gospels aren't historical because the names on them are English names. That is an exceptionally dumb take. Wow. Yeah, I've seen variations on that meme. Like, where did Jesus find a bunch of guys named Matthew, Mark, Luke, in the Middle East? It's like, you do realize why those became common names
famously
in English, right?
English name Luke.
Right.
Bitch, that's Greek.
They're all Greek.
Well,
Enoch.
it depends.
Well, yeah.
Yohanan is Hebrew, but it gets
that's true.
Greekified. So
it gets turned
same
into
thing
Ioannis.
With like Matityahu, that's also Hebrew, and it gets Greekified. So
the English versions of those names come from the Greek, like Matthias and Ioannis, not from the Hebrew form. So yeah.
Johann.
Jasher, Book of Giants. There's a whole library out there that you can plunge into if you want to, but just realize it's not Bible. And it's
not scripture, but we love taking headcanon from it and then making declarative statements about the text of the Bible.
In and maybe fill in some gaps and things like that, but don't build your perspective about giants.
You can't fill in gaps if you think, well, it's uninspired, and that's like it's not real.
Where's Waldo says Jesus is Roman, but Yeshua is Jewish? Well, kind of.
Jesus is Greek.
Yeah.
Yeshua is, depending on how you pronounce it, it's either Aramaic or Hebrew, but yeah.
Yeah, and also Yeshua is not a pronunciation that anyone used. It probably would have been Yeshu or Yeshua with a
Yeshua. Yeah.
Good luck getting
also
an English
the
speaker.
Tiffany problem. I love learning the Tiffany problem. Tiffany being one of like the oldest like names ever. It's so cool because you're like, oh, Tiffany, that's like a modern name. Like, no, it's old.
Goes back real far.
Outside of the Bible books. The Bible talks about the Raphaim, the Anakim. It talks about the Nephilim. All the stuff you need to know is carefully
did he get Rephaim, not Raphaim, Rephaim, Anakim, and then Nephilim?
Oh,
buddy, those are the same vowel qualities.
He doesn't know that, and he's always heard the word Nephilim pronounced Nephilim. That's it. That's the entirety of it. He does not actually know any Hebrew, and so when he's heard Anakim, he's heard that from people who are actually more or less transliterating from Hebrew. But for Nephilim, it's just a word that he's heard as that way. That's all it is. Because this is not a man who's gone and learned Hebrew for this.
Rashina for $1.99 says Michael is pronounced Michael, like Castiel. Yeah, that's part of our liturgy.
It is. But, you know, when things enter into other languages, especially if they entered into the language a long time ago, you're going to get variations. You're going to get anglicizations, and you can often tell how long a word has been in a particular language based on how many of that language's sound changes it's been affected by, which is how we can date contact between people.
Jose.
In fact, actually, you can use data like how many sound changes a loan word has gone through in a language to then use that to try to approximately date when certain languages had contact when you don't actually have any other historical evidence that speakers of these two languages had contact. You say, well, they had to get the loan word.
Let's see, I did find this recently is like having to look up some really old specific printings and commentaries of the Bible in Latin. And it was like, I kept getting tripped up because some people would quote Jerome, some people would write Hieronymus, and some people would write Geronimo. And I'm just like,
yes.
I don't know what to search for because everybody's rendering it differently. I had to like,
it's very inconvenient.
To find what I needed because I was like,
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, it is well known that while the Pope may be French, Jesus is English. Wait, I thought the Pope was from Chicago.
He is. He's Pope from Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago
that's
Pope.
why.
Chicago Pope.
That's why the only thing you can get now at the eateries in the Vatican are hot dogs and deep dish pizza. It's all of it. Go to a fancy banquet. It's like, what would you like on your deep dish pizza, sir?
Well, you don't really pick. It's mostly a casserole.
Well, yeah, but you can pick different toppings like pepperoni or onions or whatever.
You can only get Portillo's at the Vatican now.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing is there's an undeniable amount of archaeological evidence about giants. If you go,
really, an undeniable amount. One of the reasons I've chosen this is because unlike L.A. Marzulli, I wouldn't have to go through and edit out the 2/3 of his videos that are just shilling for L.A. Marzulli branded products or supplements. Because Dan here is going to just vomit out a bunch of L.A. Marzulli shit, but he's not going to try to sell you a bunch of supplements, which makes
He's not going to sell you supplements or gold or any of the books or DVDs or the trips to South America that he would have to cancel all the time that he would take with Brian Forrester, any of that.
Yep. Which means that in my book, Dan Biddle is... Oh, sorry.
Julian Red says the communion wine is now Malort.
Oh, no. Gross. Also, is that made of grapes? Because I'm pretty sure that there's a rule that says it has to be made from grapes. Anyway, so basically in my book, Dan Biddle is a small step up from L.A. Marzulli because he at least doesn't spend 2/3 of all of his talks just chilling.
Back through history like we have, because before we wanted to put our reputation on this sketchy topic, I put a first-class research gal.
At least he acknowledges it.
On this for 90 days and locked her up in a closet, so to speak.
I'm sorry, you put a researcher on this for 3 months, and after that, you think that you have a handle on giants? Okay, cool.
He made a young lady sit through all that L.A. Marzulli BS for 3 months. I bet he didn't pay her.
Yeah. I don't know. I am fairly confident they have paid employees, but I'm pretty sure they also have volunteers.
I'm just like, I know a lot of evangelical churches, even mega churches, love volunteers.
I mean, to be fair, if someone was going to volunteer to do a whole bunch of work for me, I probably wouldn't say no, as long as I trusted that they could actually do the work. In fact, actually, one time someone volunteered to do work. Well, one time someone volunteered to do work for me, and I didn't trust that she could do the work, and then I let her do it anyway. It was Chesh. She wrote a script for me, and then I went through and overdubbed every word she got wrong, and then that became a video eventually, and it's premiering in like 2 weeks, so stay tuned for that. Yeah. Isabella Tracer for $4.99 says, this idea not accepted by academics has undeniable evidence, huh? Dan, tell me again how you're not a conspiracy theorist, right? If it had indisputable evidence, it would just be the consensus.
Well, remember, those are atheist, secular, materialist, communist scholars, and
except for all the Christians.
They don't have the Holy Spirit, so they can't know.
Bitcore says, I knew it was Chesh. Yeah, you probably watched the video already. It's been out for early access for like 5 months.
Someone in the chat has their name as Nephilim Riding Llama of Doom.
That's awesome.
And said, all you're going to do for 90 days is you're going to find every single archaeological report and newspaper record you can about this topic, and we're going to build a database so that we're sure.
Okay, so it's not just listening to L.A. Marzulli, according to him, so that's good.
Also, academic research, you're not going to find any. It's all going to be hyper-sensationalized news articles from like the 1800s and the early 1900s.
Yep.
About what we're talking about really happened from an archaeological standpoint. And she did that, and we have now a database of 885 records over the last 300 years of giant skeletons being found in just North America.
Hey, did you know that a record of someone saying that they found a thing is actually not evidence in archaeology? Did you know that?
I wonder how many of those that they got from the Richard Dewhurst book that we went through.
Probably a lot. Also, hey, did you know that I went to an archaeological dig last week And I actually found the actual original golden tablets that Joseph Smith used to translate the Book of Mormon, and it was full of dinosaur illustrations, something he didn't tell you about. Look, there's a report. Now what? Do you think anyone should believe what I just said? Because I don't think anyone should believe that. Because anyone can say anything at any time.
So the other thing I want to say,
Many
and one of the
such
things
cases.
that really clinched this for me,
Oh, here we go.
is there is in fact a worldwide systematic secular denial of this topic.
Anything that the people who aren't his particular brand of Christianity says isn't true, that must be true, is what he just told you. So there's a worldwide secular denial of FTL space travel. There's a worldwide secular denial of the Loch Ness Monster actually being a dinosaur, even though if it were a plesiosaur, it still wouldn't be a dinosaur. There's a worldwide secular denial of the historicity of Moses. Sorry, man. Like, when there's no reason to think something, most people are going to think it's not true. Or at least not think it is true. That's just how it goes. Rail got to Bella for $5 says, God, don't you sometimes want to see creationists fed to lions at college football halftime shows?
Well, roll tide.
The thing is, generally the answer to that question is no. However, there have been some exceptions, but it's never actually been because they're a creationist. It's because this particular creationist happens to, and then I can follow up with all sorts of heinous crap. So like Kent Hovind, yeah, sure, I'd watch him get eaten by lions, but not because he's a creationist. Because of, all the emotional and physical abuse against family members, and even in some cases strangers,
Hiring
if Cindy Lincoln is
sex
to be believed.
offenders and child predators. And
Oh, not even hiring, just giving free housing and a haven to. Didn't even hire him. Yeah. That guy was not expected to do any work at Dinosaur Adventureland. Something very few other people can say, including people who want to stay there for more than a day. Because he's like, oh, well, it's free to stay. What that actually means is you can stay for as long as you want, but if you stay more than a day or two, you're going to be expected to go to work. That's what that means. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, idiot doesn't know the difference between archaeological and historical evidence. Yeah, there is some of that. Although I will also say, to be fair, there is overlap between that, right? So like, if you find like an ancient Sumerian tablet full of cuneiform, that is an archaeological find that is also a historical source. But on the other hand, if you find a bunch of potsherds with no writing on it, that is an archaeological find and not a historical source. And on the other hand, if you find a copy of the manuscript from like 1232, that is a copy of a manuscript that was, or of a work that was written in like 343, that's historical evidence for 433, but not archaeological evidence from 433 or whatever. So like, it goes back and forth. And also, Bear Kolskua, I'm sorry if I'm not mispronouncing that name. Koleskwa? Okay, yeah, you're probably right about that. Has joined at the diapsid level, which is the highest level that we have here on the channel. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. All right, here we go.
And for those of us who have spent the time, the hours going through some videos and DVDs of people I wouldn't necessarily recommend from the podium, but there's a lot of giant researchers out there that look at this stuff.
That's shade.
Dude,
That's a shade.
Throwing Marzulli under the bus.
If you follow their works and you look at what's happening, there is in fact a systematic denial of this topic. And
hey, here's a fun thing about conspiracies. If you say there are giants, but it's being covered up, now you have a new thing to demonstrate, because you still have to demonstrate that there were giants, right? That's still something you have to provide evidence for. Sufficient evidence for me to accept it. Well, for people generally to accept it. But if you want to say there's also a conspiracy, sorry?
Excuse, Bear, you have a channel where you teach people how to make air fryer donuts, and I am here for it.
Ooh, that does sound really good.
That channel is making me very hungry.
Also, thank you for it not being something that I didn't want to hear about, because whenever Vish is like, excuse me, and interrupts to talk about someone in chat, I'm like, oh no, something bad has happened. This
that
time,
is
no.
frequently the case.
Okay, so what was I just talking about? You made me lose my train of thought. I'll hit play and see what happens.
it involves government stuff. And
Oh, right. Conspiracy theories. Okay. So if you want to say there's a conspiracy theory to cover up something that you believe, first you have to still demonstrate that the thing that you believe is something worth believing. And you now also have to demonstrate that there is a conspiracy on top of that. It doesn't make your job of convincing people easier, or at least it shouldn't. It makes it harder. Because now I don't want to just see evidence of giants. I also want to see evidence of the cover-up. Because now you've made two claims, both of which need to be backed up. Got a couple super chats here. Group 23 for $2 says, I saw a Nethil, but she goes to a different school. Of course she does. Probably in Canada, is what I'm guessing.
Goes to a different school.
Yeah. Let's see. Templar Warden for 5 Kiwi bucks says, we found reports of giants in the same vibes as we got reports of vaccines making children suddenly autistic. Not a conspiracy theorist. And that's another good point. Yeah, it's exactly the same level of evidentiary, weight, right? Like, oh, we found reports. I can find reports of just about anything, including things that Dan here would not accept. Like, oh, you want me to find a report of, Marian apparitions? I can find lots of reports of that.
I feel proud of myself. Bears says, holy crap, Vishanti is one of the first people to ever say it correctly the first time. Hey.
Oh, hey. Well, I'm definitely not me.
Yeah.
You might have to send that to me as a recording so that when I do my next what is it, credits?
Oh yeah, you remember? Yeah,
because at the $20 member, you not only are you in the credits, but I say your name in the credits. So
I don't want to get into a big conspiracy thing, but I'll just throw one thing out for you.
He just said there's a concerted effort to cover it up, and now he's talking about Smithsonian.
It's like, that is a conspiracy, man. Even if it's true, it's still a conspiracy, right? Like, that's what a conspiracy would be.
And currently has a public position paper that you can go find.
We have to rewind a little bit so we can.
There works, and you look at what's happening. There is, in fact, a systematic denial of this topic, and it involves government stuff. And I don't want to get into a big conspiracy thing, but I'll just throw one thing out for you. The Smithsonian currently has a public position paper that you can go find that says emphatically there have never been any giants found or any giant skeletons ever found anywhere in North America. Emphatically deny the whole thing.
Right.
Very, very clear, because there's all kinds of Snopes stuff going on and weird stuff, and the people saying that the Smithsonian's hiding all the bones, and there's all this.
Right. So right now what I'm hearing is the Smithsonian has been accused of nefarious stuff, which, to be fair, the Smithsonian has engaged in some nefarious stuff, but they're being accused of this specific nefarious thing. Then they're saying, no, this has never happened. Now, what do you expect would happen if it were true that the Smithsonian had never received any evidence of giants and was being accused falsely of hiding the evidence that they had never received? I would expect them to put out some kind of statement, which is what they did. So all of this is perfectly compatible with the Smithsonian telling you the truth about this. Now, if you want to know the heinous, shady stuff that the Smithsonian has been doing, most of it involves, basically desecrating the graves of Native American groups and holding on to their remains for their displays, regardless of whether or not the people who are their descendants, or at least related to family members of those people, have to say about it. Now, to be fair, they've been getting better about that. Not great about it. And also, when there was a U.S. law passed that said, yes, in fact, the remains of Native American peoples are in fact human remains and not artifacts, guess who got an exemption from that? Yep, it was the Smithsonian. So, don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't have criticisms for the Smithsonian. I do. It's just that, you know what? They're not denying having those basically grave robbed human remains and keeping them on display. They're open about that. They're just like, yep, it's right here. It's in our exhibit. You can go look at it.
Shout out to Fossil Daddy, who in his work with Harvard has notified various, indigenous folks that some of their ancestral artifacts and heirlooms are in the museum. And so it turns out when you're one of those indigenous people and you request it back, they have to give it to you. So sometimes museums will just not notify people that they have their stuff, which I think is shady. But yeah, it turns out oh no, they found out that we had it. Now we have to return it. Womp. So when I went through their museum on campus, there were these signs for like, sorry, the display's empty, you know, we're repatriating artifacts. I'm like, dude, this is the age of 3D printers and like hyper competent cosplayers. You can make replicas that are almost identical down to the smallest details.
And then just write replica on it, on the little card. It's fine.
Yeah.
Dutch Tunicate Official for $2 says the cognitive dissonance is over 9,000.
Over 9,000!
That's impossible! Crunch.
This chatter about this topic. So they have a position out there that says, never been a single giant skeleton found. The problem with that is I have their 1890 book on ethnology from the Smithsonian.
Wait, hold on. Is that
Hey, Dapper.
Let me
Dapper.
Yes.
Do you know someone that might have a copy of that?
Well, I'm double checking because I think what he means, if I'm correct, is let's see. Yeah, let's see. Annual report of the Bureau of Ethnology of the Secretary of the Smithsonian 1890 to 1891, which is I do have a copy of that actually. It turns out, if you can believe it, that that's just available on the Smithsonian webpage, Smithsonian Libraries, and like it's in the description. It's linked there, so that's interesting. It's pretty cool.
And if you can believe it,
well, let's let him make the
it's
claim
on the
first.
Smithsonian's own website.
Yeah, it's just right there.
Bureau of Ethnology, and somehow they've interned or discovered themselves 17 giant skeletons in North America from their.
So I can't find that in the book. Maybe I'm just missing it, but there's a search function, and I've been searching, and I can't seem to find that particular thing. So I'm not sure what to do with that. So
Citation needed.
Yeah, if I search giant, there are two results. One is a giant structure known as the Cahokia or Monk's Mound. So that's just talking about Cahokia, which is not a giant skeleton, but is in fact a series of related earth mounds, which are really big, so that's fair. And then page 427 talks about a giant frame where 3 unused black flint lance heads, which means that this was in fact a frame that had been hammered into place from apparently native copper. So that's not a guy. So then I started looking for skeletons, and while there are many dozens of references to skeletons, I could not find a measurement for a single one of them.
Oh, interesting.
So Dan, I've got your source, and okay, on the one hand, it is 895 pages long, so maybe what you're saying is in there, but I can't find it, and I have a search function, and I'll be honest with you, I'm probably not going to read 895 pages of 18 whatever this stuff. So, like, could you tell me where? Bear Kolesqua, there we go. For 199 says, don't confuse people with evidence. I know. What is wrong with me? How dare I?
Seriously.
I'm such a jerk.
How dare you?
But yeah, like I've got this, and like I don't know. For Avara, who's been a member for 38 months, says, just woke up for a moment. Have a lovely stream. Thank you.
Their own records, 7 to 9 foot giants that they either found or had delivered to them, and they recorded. So that's enough for me. If you've received 17 and your own records support that, but I have to dig them out by buying some book of antiquity from Abe's Rare Books.
First of all, you don't have to buy it.
To go
Two,
find
that's
it out
not
for myself.
antiquity.
Yeah, like it's right there. You can just go look for it, right, man? Like, you know.
I know exactly what happened. He heard somebody make this claim, and he just repeated it. Never bothered to fact check it.
Yeah. And like you can search the library. Let's see. Yeah, you can just look it up. Let's double check. Giant. So come in. 2 giants. Again, no, Cahokia. Yeah, not a thing. Not a thing. Let's try skeleton again. All right.
I mean,
what do we got?
Obviously, this would get you way too many hits, but doing feet would possibly get you there, but that's probably going to be several hundred references.
So it's 392 if I do skeleton, but I've already skimmed through these and I couldn't find a single one with measurements. So let's try feet. Because I know that's in there a bunch, but every time I saw feet, it was measuring the actual mounds. Let's see, several feet. Let's see. 2 or 3 acres in extent had been worked over the depth of several feet, so that's depth in the ground. Oyster Dredgers was once established on a bluff about 20 feet above the tide, so that's height. Let's see, a depth of 20 feet. Burial pit 12 feet in diameter and 5 feet deep. And it just keeps going on because I've already looked through all of this. And I can't say that I checked every single thing because like it's 1,600 results.
It's almost 900 pages.
But I could not find a single thing where they were measuring a human or human remains. Barry Kolesco for 199.
Weird.
Did someone dig up Robert Wadlow? Yeah, that's another thing, is when he says 7 to 9 feet. 7 to 9 feet is tall, but like it's not like supernatural giant tall, right? Like if you want to convince me that there are a race of giants, then telling me like, look, I found the skeleton of a 7-foot tall woman. I'm like, well, that's a really tall woman, but not really giant.
Yeah, and also, bless his heart, Robert Wadlow had so many health problems.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just drag a slider on a human and make them super tall and not have consequences for it, because gravity doesn't stop working.
Counterpoint, though, I definitely did exactly that last time I was making a character in Darktide, and nothing bad happened.
Goopdu says a rare situation where searching for feet won't get you weird stuff.
I mean, kind of. It still does come up with some weird stuff. But, yeah.
But your public positions...
We hit the super chat goal, by the way.
Oh, we did. Hey, that means we can do things like say, fuck this. And I won't complain about it. Which also means...
cookies.
Well, I'm not going to stop you from getting cookies.
Well, it's also kind of break time, so I could go get cookies during the break.
All right. Here's what we'll do. I'll set up the next thing, the next super chat goal. And then we will go on a quick break. So it is 30 super chats. If we can get those in the next, it says, I think it's an hour. Then I will do an extra stream. We still have to do a follow-up with Dr. Tapioca Weasel about the fact that Roger has unlocked the secrets of physics that no one else has. So we'll just read this last super chat here, which I will just count towards the 30 because it came in that sort of interregnum period, if you will, which isn't the right word, but I like the word interregnum, so I'm going to use it. Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $2 says, imagine an 8-foot tall woman having kids, Ghidorah. Well, if she had him with a really short guy, maybe that would actually make it easier. You know? Because then maybe the kids would be small and they'd be easier to give birth
with Peter
to.
Dinklage.
Yeah. All right, so we are off to a break. We will be back in just a little bit. And yeah, please enjoy the musical stylings of Beethoven. And we are back. And back just in time for a super chat. Sapphire Plushie Sorcerer's Life for $2 says, for the weasel, Godzilla. And I'll take a drink for that, Godzilla. Thank you very much. Also, I'm now realizing that this source is in fact a Trojan source. So I'm going to take a drink for that too.
Mhm.
All right. So now that we've taken a couple drinks.
I got cookies. Nom nom nom.
Nice. We're going to give the quick commercial thing here, which is to say, hey, this channel is entirely, well, not, and almost entirely supported directly by people doing things like joining the Patreon, joining the channel memberships, giving super chats, gifting memberships, super thanks, super stickers, all that stuff. I probably already said super chat, but that too. So I am at the point where I am doing a very consistent 3 and sometimes 4 videos a week, sometimes even more. And that is something that I am exceedingly happy to be able to do for you guys. And also something that is only really possible because people do support me. So if you are someone who is currently not supporting financially, but that interests you, and you're not sure where or how to give, and also importantly, you can afford to give. I don't want anyone giving me money that they need for rent or food or diapers or whatever. This is entertainment budget money. So if you can afford, then the best way is generally the Patreon. That's where I get to keep the most of what you're giving me. The Patreon starts at $1 a month. You can get a 15% discount if you go annual. There's also the channel memberships. That starts at $1.99 a month. There are higher tiers for both of those. There is no annual plan for the memberships, but both of them give you early access to my scripted videos. One just got published today. Right now, the video Hebrew Isn't the Oldest Language or Alphabet is up for early access. You can see me talk about things like the history of language, linguistics, what a script is versus a language, what evidence we have for what the oldest languages are, how we can tell, things like that. It's all there right now. If an annual or a monthly thing isn't your deal, or you're already doing those and you just want to do something else, there is a merch store below this video. You can find a little shelf with merch. If none of that tickles your fancy, but you're still interested in maybe something else, there's a lot of other stuff on the store that I don't have room for. I've got t-shirts, hoodies. I've got baby onesies, phone cases, blankets, pillows, all sorts of stuff, mugs, stickers. So check that stuff out. There is also a wish list. I have 2 wish lists, actually. I have a wish list for Steam and Throne. You can feel free to go grab something over there. Actually, Throne, technically, you can get me almost anything because I do have an option there for like surprise gift, in which you just buy me something that's on that they have listed on their store, and you can just send it to me. I just get a notification that a surprise gift is coming, and then it arrives, and then I find out what it is. There is also if you want.
You know how I give myself surprise gifts? I have ADHD. Because boxes show up at my doorstep. I'm like, huh, what did I order? And then it feels like a surprise.
I've definitely had things show up at my place after after having had maybe more drinks than tonight, where we're currently at 12. And I'm like, oh, huh, neat.
I don't know what it is, but sometimes I will be really, really super high and just buy stuff on Etsy. I don't know what is going on with that. I don't know if that's a thing people do. They just start impulse shopping when they're high.
I don't know. All right, I'm gonna hit play.
Found a single one. Something's going on. That's, and there's a lot more to this, but that's just one thing I wanted to throw out. But before I get started, remember, there's all you need to know about giants is just in the pages of Scripture alone. Okay, so let's jump in. I took out a lot of my intro slides because for those of you who were here yesterday, I went through those, but our book table is still full of books, so please clean us out.
Okay, I said he didn't spend 2/3 of the time, but he's still spending some of the time shilling. So
literally, it's all free. I just gave a gal here a stack of books because she had people she wants to go give it out to. Please, that's what the resources are for. We have a suggested donation of $10 per item, but there's lots of people who take stuff for free, and some people who donate, and some people who donate excessively. So it all works out in that way. I want to show a clip, a trailer clip from our Out of Babel movie, just so you can see what's going to be showing tomorrow at 2 o'clock. From 2 to 4, it's the Out of Babel movie, and then tomorrow at 11:15 is the Noah Returns movie. So here's a quick trailer for the movie that's going to show.
He really did spend time with L.A. Marzulli.
Yeah.
He's spending most of the time shilling.
31 minutes of this movie done. It should be done in about 3 months or so. But please do come.
Don't worry, I'll watch it. I may or may not react to it, but I'll watch it.
I think you and Paulogia should review it.
I was going to say, I have actually responded to their previous one in part with Paul in collaboration, and it would be another good. Maybe me and Dave and Paul can all get together and like just watch it together. That could be fun.
I'd watch that.
It would be an interesting like series of things that I've watched with Paul, because that would make that like my movies I've watched with Paul be the the Hellraiser reboot and Noah Returns, which is interesting. And it was also Paul's first exposure to the Hellraiser franchise, which
I can't believe.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I mean, that's also part of why I started the movie list.
I do remember.
It's not a movie, but we also did watch the Dahmer series.
Actually, that's an interesting thing. Would people be interested in seeing your movie list?
Some people have asked, and I just forget to share it with them.
Everybody, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a poll. All right. Here we go. Would you be interested in seeing Vish's movie list?
It's mostly spooky movies. Yeah. So it's all genre stuff.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
See that movie also. I just want to say something about the Tower of the Out of Babel movie. And I'm going to give a pre-talk before we show that movie, because to a lot of people, to a lot of Christians, and to every secularist that sees that movie.
Get on with it.
Jeez, really?
They're going to think it's just amazing. First it's going to be seen before, just undeniable that the actual easy to do this stuff. 8 story, so under it to work at it. First recording real Thunderbirds and giants and things like the naked bear. So when
the real Thunderbirds. Kent Hovind was saying that like those are pteranodons or something. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
Dig into the topic of biblical giants here. This is a good theme verse for us to have. 1 Thessalonians, it says, "For this reason, we also thank God without ceasing, because when you received the word of God, which you heard from us, you welcomed it, not as the word of men, but as it is in truth, the word of God, which also effectively works in those who believe." So if you want the word of God.
Okay, so far we've gotten 50 minutes into this, and his evidence so far for giants has been, it's in the Smithsonian book, guys, trust me. And then I went and checked, and no, it's not.
To work effectively in renovating your life and the sanctification process and everything, it's a conditional promise. You have to believe it. You have to trust it. You have to stand under it. And for those of us who do, the power and the word of God will be unleashed to work powerfully within us, but you have to trust it.
Dude.
BibleGiants.com.
Unleashed.
And before we started, I talked about you've got to have a willingness to sit under the Bible's case for history. Also consider that what you've learned in your secular past might not be the full story. And also consider that there is an active enemy who's lying described here in Scripture.
No, let's start. No more before we start.
What precisely, and we get into they had stuff and inspiring humans to do it. So a lot of
we're 18 and a half minutes in.
These old structures.
Remember, guys, if your historian secular teachers tell you stuff that like contradicts the Bible, they just could be influenced by Satan.
It's true. It's possible.
America are built precisely. They have things called the Hopewell Acre or the Hopewell measurement. Someone was really concerned.
Shut up. Everybody go watch after this stream is over, and potentially whatever Dapper is streaming after on Discord. After those, go watch Mini Minuteman's stuff on both like the Cahokia and all of the other like actual Native American sites that he's talking about, the Hopewell Road and all that stuff.
So what we're talking about here is we're getting into that thing that I warned you about at the beginning of the first hour, where it's just a bunch of racist nonsense. That's it. That's all that's happening right now, right? It's like, oh, well, we can't think that the actual people who lived there and who were largely displaced by European colonists, we can't believe that they actually built this stuff. What if it was giants? And I'm like, I'm sorry, one, the precision in the directionality and the astronomical observations and whatnot, that's all impressive stuff. But what is it about the native population that make you think they couldn't have stacked soil on top of more soil? What is it about
You're right.
them?
No human being could compact dirt like this.
Right? Like, what are we doing here? What is this? Specifically, what's the thing you think they couldn't have done? Swift Life, who's been a member for 11 months, says, but did Dan ever go to Shelbyville with a Ghidorah? You know what? He probably did go to Shelbyville with onions tied to his belt. We'll take a drink. Also, I'm just going to take a drink for the fact that he managed to get 18 and a half minutes into a 1 hour talk about giants. And the only time he actually offered evidence for giants was it's in a book that the Smithsonian doesn't want you to see and that I can't go get, even though it's literally online. So
literally free on their website.
Mm-hmm. You can just get it. You can read through all 895 whatever pages. Now, to be fair, one of those pages is the front of the book, one of those pages is the back of the book, and there are a few blank pages here and there. So, like, I don't know, it's probably...
Your audio just cut out, but also, do you think that his research assistant read 900 pages of that book in 3 months? Because I doubt it.
No, I don't think so. Am I back?
Yes.
All right.
Exact shape and structure of a lot of these. And it's hard for me to get into a lot of these unless you've gone and looked at these structures or studied them. But a lot of these big pyramidal structures and everything in these earthworks that were built in America were built precisely. And we see if the good angels are consumed with wanting to use measurements, maybe the bad angels were too. And maybe they were inspiring.
Dude,
okay.
Dan, you're not going to watch this, but I'm going to talk to you anyway. Dan. You are attributing supernatural evil to the ritual sites of the people whom your ancestors ethnically cleansed. It's a really fucking bad look, dude. Maybe you could not attribute monumental structures from Native American cultures to fucking demons. Because not only does it make you sound like a fucking idiot, it's racist as hell. Also,
this
I ended
is
the
typical
poll.
of like Christian supremacists, though, because the Inquisitors and the Spanish colonizers did this a lot to indigenous ritual sites. A lot. I've read a court record where they were talking about like ritual stones and earth or pottery and things like that some guy had just hidden under the floorboards of his house, and he was like, "No, I'm totally like a good baptized Catholic." And they were like, "Yeah, this is demonic and it's weird." Get a new argument, jeez.
You want to watch a not racist depiction of an ancient demonic civilization in North America? Go watch Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue.
I did not anticipate where that was going.
No one did, because when you tell people that the actual plot of Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue is that a rock climber, a firefighter, a test pilot, and like some military brat team up to fight ancient demons from below the earth in California, no one expects that that's the actual plot.
That's okay.
It's also one of the better seasons. And it's also one of the seasons where we can reasonably say that the Power Rangers are not cops. Because even though they work in sort of a paramilitary organization, none of them are actually members of the military except for one. And she just does paperwork until she becomes a ranger. And also all of them are like I said, like a stunt pilot and a rock climber and a firefighter, none of which are cop jobs. And they don't do cop stuff. They do rescue stuff. And they actually have scenes where they save people from burning buildings or collapsing structures. So one of the least copy of a show that has a lot of cops, especially Power Rangers SPD, where they just literally are cops. That's their job. Also Time Force, where they literally are just cops.
Dapper sobbing into his microphone. ACAB includes the Power Rangers.
Only some of the Power Rangers. Only some of the Power Rangers. Technically, I think, what is it? One of the more recent ones. What is it? it's Power Rangers, whatever. It's one of the recent ones where they're in like Grid Force or something, and it's like they're not technically cops; they're more like Blackwater special agents or something, which is like that's probably worse. It's like, oh, they're in a private paramilitary security operation.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not great. Grid Battle Force. It's what the organization is called. Grid Battle Force, and it's a like semi-private organization that just has their own child soldiers. It's like, oh, geez. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $10 says, "Why does he look like he shaved his scalp just in case a Native American wanted to scalp him for his racism?" Oh, and he's racist enough for him to think that's a concern.
Didn't they learn that from the white colonizers?
It is certainly so. There is certainly more evidence that the practice went from colonizer to indigenous rather than the other way around. Because before there was widespread scalping by indigenous groups in North America, primarily English settlers had put bounties on Indian scalps, as they said. But that being said, I don't know how I would go about to demonstrate that no one in any indigenous population in North America ever scalped anyone before that. So, like, probably is the answer. The answer to your question is probably, but I can't say for certain. Sapphire Plus Sorcerer's Light for $2 says, "Please accept my unborn orphans college fund." Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, here we go.
Humans to do that. What about these megaliths? If you guys ever looked into this, this is a very fascinating topic. It can.
My guy.
House stack rocks.
People have had cranes for thousands of years. People have shoved rocks for thousands of years. The largest rock ever moved by humans was moved by Russian peasants without any machines besides rollers and wheels and ropes. As far as I know, they didn't even use a crane. If a bunch of Russian peasants can figure it out.
Is that bigger than the Baalbek stone?
The Trilithon stone, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yep. If a bunch of Russian peasants can figure it out without any machines beyond some ropes and rollers and wheels.
Dapper, those are white Europeans and Slavs. Come on.
I'm just gonna take a drink. I can't. How could they move big rock?
How move rock? How stack rock?
There's something that Milo Rossi has pointed out about this topic, which is that none of these people seem to have ever done a single day in the trades.
Soft hands. Skill issue.
Seriously. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm like a big, heavy-duty physical labor guy who's spent decades in construction and whatnot. But I have worked on many construction sites, as well as military sites where there was construction-type things going on, like remodeling and installation of new heavy equipment and whatnot. And it doesn't require magic. It just doesn't. The only thing that we're doing now today that makes it easier than in the past was some of the things that we do are motorized as opposed to human-powered or horse-powered or oxen-powered, right? But you could just get an ox or a bunch of humans or a horse. And there you go. It'd be slower. It'd be more dangerous.
America, you use, like, alpacas.
Yeah. It would be more dangerous than it is now. It will be slower. But you get it done. People are problem solvers. That's also
one of the funniest critiques that they have. Is like, oh my god, this would take too long. What do you mean take too long? Or do they have a deadline? Do you think they have somewhere to be?
Yeah.
These are tradesmen. There's no TV. What do you think they have to do?
Right?
Takes too long. Do they know how long it took to build most of the medieval cathedrals?
Centuries.
Centuries.
Were they just going to wait around for centuries? Yeah. Yeah, actually, we know they did.
Yep.
It turns out that sometimes if you have enough like motivation and enough societal like flow through continuity, right? You can get done centuries long mega projects. You just can. Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $5 says, "Will Dan accept the giants made Stonehenge myths, or is that silly because they were superior to Europeans? Might as well do Lost Tribes of Britain." So I actually don't know, right? He might be okay with giants made Stonehenge, because for one thing, Stonehenge is pretty much the only thing in Europe that ever gets attributed to aliens or giants or anything other than just the people there. Because just about everything else. See, Europe has this one advantage in that it has a lot of records that survived from the time of building a lot of their impressive stone structures, which is less true for a lot of other places in the world, right? And so
we literally have Egyptian text and carvings and depictions of their tools and how they built pyramids.
let
So
me
we'd be like, how did they do it? They told us.
let me finish. And also, they're white, and since most of the people who do this are white supremacists, and also it's a lot harder for them to go check on the Egyptian records. And to be honest, they are still spottier in the Egyptian records, and even more spotty in places like Baalbek or like Pumapunku. Yeah, they just get to say, oh, it must have been aliens when all these non-white people did it with spotty records. Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Bear Kalispa for $4.99 says, I've done plenty of trade and my hands are buttery smooth. Well, you must work at it. Because it's not easy to keep them. Yeah.
Skincare.
Skincare can be amazing. Let me make sure I actually enter this number in, right? All right, here we go.
Get conspiracy laden really quick, but this, how on earth are...
Bro, you're talking about giants building structures at Baalbek and making the earthen mounds, and you're like, this can get conspiracy laden real quick. You're the one doing that. You are the one ladening this idea with conspiracies. No one, well, not no one else, but it's not your audience. It's not me or Vishanti. It's not my chat who are saying, yeah, I don't know, man. How could people move big rock? Seems like giants.
What about like all of the temples in like India and South Asia that are built into, like carved into mountains from the top down? Did giants do that?
I guess. Maybe they may, you know what? Maybe giants carved the churches at Lalibela.
Maybe giants built the Taj Mahal, even though we know for surezies how they did that.
Was it with giants?
With giants of their industry, maybe.
Ah.
Because like those guys went on to do other architectural projects. We know that.
I gotta say, there are some really impressive temples in India that people do not know a whole lot about. And like, just from an architectural and artistic standpoint, you should look into some of the really cool ancient temples in India, because some of them are
gorgeous.
Absolutely amazing. So
are these squared off stones that are measuring 60 feet by 14 feet by 14 feet, measuring 1,000 tons? They still can't figure out how they moved these things.
Big number, therefore giants.
Okay, so at Baalbek, not only do we have good ideas as to how they move these things, there's evidence in the stones. Most of the stones have like little nooks in them for inserting things to brace the stone while you lift it with a crane. And you say, oh, but the Roman cranes or whatever only had a weight limit of like, a few hundred pounds. Okay, you can multiply how many cranes you use.
You can use more than one crane.
Right?
Yeah, that doesn't take a genius.
It's sort of the whole, like, have you ever tried to move a piano? It's really hard to do on your own. But, you get 3 or 4 friends to help.
Or you can put it on casters. You just roll it.
I don't think we have evidence of Roman casters, but, like, you just divide the project up. Let's see. Josh McGee's for $5 says, now I want to create a recording business called Spotty Records. That sounds fun. Benegiki Platypus Librarian for $2 says, we need Roger's thoughts on these giants and rocks. Oh my goodness. I can tell you what they will be.
Actually, no.
Let's see. Arrow Doctor for $4.99 says, Smart Man once said, give me a long lever and fulcrum and I shall move big rock. That's true. A smart man did once say that. Thanks, Archimedes. Dutch Communicate Official for $5. Right. For $5 says, one last one. Sometimes while hiking, I'm amazed at thinking how people must have gotten these boards deep into the woods. Silly me, it was giants. Yes, it was obviously giants.
What? The Nephilim built those staircases that are in the woods.
The staircases in the woods, which is actually only a tiny, small fragment of that entire series. But it's like the one thing everyone latched onto was the staircases.
It's cool.
It is cool.
Who's doing all this stuff, and why are they doing all this stuff?
Baalbek is a temple. They were doing it for the same reasons that Christians spent centuries building cathedrals in Europe. You ever seen Hagia Sophia? It was built as a cathedral.
Your audio cut out again.
It doesn't seem to have cut out.
I think the
on
microphone
the stream.
had a rage blackout on Discord.
I think it's only happening on Discord.
That's so weird.
Are you hearing my audio cut out? Let me know. Lieutenant Math Navigator
Square One TV mentioned in the chat.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, this man's mind would have been blown by the concept of using more than one pulley. Yeah, there is that.
Math man.
All right, let me add that in. All right, here, I'm going to take a drink for why did they do this? It's called religion, man.
Apparently it is cutting out for some of them in the chat.
All right, I will.
Sucks. I also dated myself incredibly with that Math Man reference. I mean, I can hear you.
Yeah, but they couldn't. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. I don't know why things are being like this, but we'll push through. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5.
Mercury's still in retrograde.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, how did brown people lift those sequoias into place? Yeah, how did they get there? Seems very hard to explain without giants, really. All right, here we go.
Have help from angels? I don't know. How are humans measuring and how are they cutting and measuring these stones that weigh 1,000 tons? We have to.
Okay, we know how stones are cut, even in the ancient past, right? First, you get pounding stones and you cut through the rock so that you have a significant amount of it is just, cut out roughly. How you measure it is how you measure anything, right? Like you get a rope or something that's the right length and you just walk it out. It's not that complicated.
Now walk it out.
Right.
Now walk it out.
So then, after you have most of it carved out, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, at the bottom, cut through it both sides until there's a little thin area underneath. And then you use leverage to snap the rock off at that point. And then you get more detailed things like copper saws or chisels or things like that to smooth out that rock. And you ship it to wherever it's going. Like, we know the answer to these questions. You could just check. Isabella Tracer for $5 says, quick, Dapper, say more incantations to get your audio working again. I should.
Yeah, I think you need to beseech the machine god.
I do need to beseech the machine god. Let me see what I can do about that.
Atomic Squirrel 56 writes, hard rock cut softer rock.
Yeah, basically.
Sometimes softer rock can cut harder rock. You just need an abrasive.
Well, in that case, it's the abrasive that's actually doing the cutting. But yeah, that's true.
People are like, how did soft copper cut all these really hard stone? An abrasive, like sand.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me see what I can do about a prayer to the machine god. Let me see. Hold on. First of all, I might have to shift a few things around here. O great vessel of honor, may your servo motors be guarded against malfunction as your spirit is guarded from impurity. We beseech the machine god to watch over you, and may thine circuitry remain divinely blessed. Okay. I did it.
Good.
There we go. All right, here we go.
Think about this stuff and develop answers. And I'm not presenting any solutions. I'm saying perhaps there was some angelic.
I'm just asking questions, guys.
Just asking questions.
Arrow Dodger for $4.99 says, if this man is shocked by people wasting vast resources for religious purpose, wait till he hears about cathedrals. Exactly.
Seriously. God.
All right.
Fear Uck Feistmonger says, wait till he hears about the Ark Encounter.
That's good. I'm taking a drink for that. That's too good. That's a drink if I ever heard one. By the way, that prayer is from a magnet that's on my wish list. It's like a fridge magnet.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Why wouldn't it be? Josh McGee's for $5 says, we have no evidence of modern style measuring tapes in the fossil record, therefore measuring was impossible. Metakiki Platypus Librarian for $2 says, I invoke the powers invested by my CSE PhD. Heal! You know what? I actually do need the actual Omnisci to come by and then just do a machine heal thyself moment on my microphone. It's actually really, I'm pretty sure it's the cables that go between my microphone. Like, this is the second cable I've tried, and it's iffy. And I'm just hoping it's not like the preamp that's actually the problem, because I don't have a quick way to fix that.
Oh,
now
some
I'm very
people are
quiet.
saying that you're very quiet, yeah.
All right, well, we'll see what happens.
Like cooperation from the Dark Angels going on here. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff on Earth today that people have a hard time explaining.
No. There's a lot of stuff on Earth that you have a hard time explaining, Dan. You are the people.
Everything is a conspiracy when you don't know how anything works.
Yeah. It's not that it's hard to explain. It's that you don't like the explanations, or you haven't looked into them because you prefer the demon giants, I guess. Goop23 for $5 says, I'm not providing any solutions. I'm just saying perhaps they might be giants. Nice.
Well done.
Very nice. All right, there we go.
And when you open up and look at the Nephilim topic, maybe we can find a mosaic of evidence. So a mosaic of evidence is when you come up to something like this puzzle piece lion, and if you look too close, you can't.
That's an actual mosaic. Those aren't puzzle pieces, Dan.
Also, puzzle pieces start with a conclusion in mind.
Can't see anything, but when you step back, you can see the bigger picture. And the main fragments of this mosaic you want to put in the picture are the 20 passages of Scripture. For some reason, when the promised people came into Israel,
a Sapphire Plushy Sorceress Light for $2 comes in with a really good counterpoint. Only giants could cut down the Devil's Tower tree. You know,
you have a point.
Yeah, all right.
Got me there.
I think now I'm a believer in ancient giants that cut down the Devil's Tower tree.
Also, if he's talking about like, oh, if you're too close to it, you can't see it, so you have to zoom out and look at the big picture. Like, my man, you were just talking about being sola scriptura, but you need to fill out your conspiracy headcanon, so you have to go outside the Bible to get that.
Yeah, because you're not going to get the Nephilim made Cahokia from the Bible. I promise you that.
Or hybrids.
Yeah. Templar Warden for $5. Kiwi Buck says, Dark Angels? Well, I suppose if anyone would know about moving giant rocks and lions, it would be them. Very true. Very true. You know, the lion's was sleeping on the rock for like 10,000 years, taking a big old nap. And then he woke up. And apparently he's surprised to be old. Turns out he wasn't in a stasis field for those 10,000 years, unlike his brother, who was apparently smarter in that someone else put him in a stasis field after he was mortally wounded. Lieutenant Math Navigator
yeah. Never mind. Jillian bit me to it. It's fine. Go ahead.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says he thinks Dark Angels did it. Did the Ultramarines help the white folk? Yes. Being space Romans, they did in fact help the white folk. Which, by the way, I kind of miss the Space Roman theming, because now the Ultramarines theme is just the most generic possible Space Marines, and they used to be Space Romans, and I'm sorry, but Space Romans is cooler than the most generic Space Marines imaginable. But you know what? This is not a time for me to rant about how I don't like Matt Ward.
Well, you look at Genesis 14, then the war was going to ensue, and there was a bunch of giant chieftains there present saying, we don't want you to come into this Holy Land because we know who's going to come through your race.
Okay, let's be clear. This was the obviously exaggerated reports of scouts that were sent into the Holy Land. And then when you actually get to fights between the Canaanites and the Israelites, you know what we don't hear about during the conquest narrative? Giants in Canaan until we get to the story of until we get to Elhanan, and then later on we get to David. But
Elhanan and Eleazar.
But that's after the conquest narratives.
Mm-hmm.
The scouts lied because, according to the narrative, they were scared of the well-established civilizations living in what they were calling the Promised Land. That's not like the subtext or the inference. That's just the text. The scouts were lying to get people to not bother because they were scared that they would lose the battles. That's what the story is. I'm taking a drink for this guy not even being able to understand.
And Caleb, who was literally like in his 80s or something at that point, was like, "Nah, man, we got this. Let's take it." Your dog concurs.
She does, yeah. Carmen is very, very active and full of energy again after having gone to the vet for an extremely inflamed anal gland. Yep. Yeah. So now she's on meds, and she is scared of mealtime now because she knows that right after she's fed, she's going to get her meds, and she doesn't want to. So now she hides for mealtime. But other than that, she seems to be...
We had to dog sit for a few days for my host's parent, and we were wrapping up their pills in some turkey, like sliced turkey. Worked pretty well.
Yeah. Bent is putting the pills in peanut butter. And so she's getting peanut butter, but also she's getting the topical swab applied to her anal gland via Q-tip. And boy, does she hate that. And
I was going to say she don't like that.
I probably wouldn't like it either if I were her. Doesn't sound like fun, but it's still pretty inflamed and like it needs to go down. Josh Geese for $5 says, "Willem, what are you doing? Trying to see the hidden pictures, Mallrats." Olivia Williams Purple Fairy Light for $6.99 Beaverbuck says, "Anyone remember the James Cameron Dark Angel TV show? I don't know if I do."
Yeah, we were just talking about that in the chat with Jessica Alba.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
It was one of her early baby
roles. Alba.
And if you look at the Raphaim and the Anakim and the sons of Anak and all of that, the bad stuff that was going on.
That's hyperbole, guy.
The thing that bugs me is it's hyperbole nakedly in the text, right? Like, it's not even like, oh, I'm reading into the text to say that this is hyperbole. You can see how the conquest goes and that they don't fight giants. There's nothing about them actually fighting giants in the conquest narrative, which follows on to the story about the scouts coming back and reporting giants. Where are the giants? Like, even if I accept...
Why don't we find giant skeletons in the Levant?
There's that too. Oh, of course... We do. It's just that whatever the Levantine version of the Smithsonian is hiding them. Yeah, the Lebanese Smithsonian is keeping the lid on it.
Okay.
Is in fact a war going on with the enemy and the dark angels and the whole bit. So there's a big picture that we
wait till he finds out about the word bearers. That'll blow his mind.
We want to look at, and we can
wait till he reads the Book of Jubilees. He's gonna go insane.
He'll never read the Book of Jubilees, and you know it.
Well,
by looking at a mosaic, but the most colorful main pieces you have to put in there are the 20 passages of Scripture, and then you can begin to see what might be going on. So here's the 20 passages in Scripture that come from 14 different books, and if I had to,
should we look all of these up? Is that what we have to do?
Oh,
next?
I'm looking them up right now.
All right.
Let me make this a little bigger, and I'm going to screenshot it so that you don't have to leave it on pause.
All right, I will hit play.
Today, I would just say this is our perspective, period. It's 100% of it, nothing outside of this, but I'm also trying to color in this giant topic by pulling from some other things, some archaeology, but I'm not going to die on those hills. This is a hill I'm going to die on, just the Scripture alone. These are the passages, and wait.
One of those passages is just all of 1 Kings 22. Jeez, dude.
So
you couldn't narrow it down.
One of these is from Amos, and it says, "Thus says God, for 3 transgressions of Israel, for 4 I won't revoke the decree, because they sold for silver those whose cause was just, and the needy for a pair of sandals. You who trample the heads of the poor into the dust of the ground and make the humble walk a twisted course. Father and son go to the same woman, and thereby profane my holy name. They recline every altar by every altar on garments taken in pledge and drink in the house of their god wine they bought with fines they imposed. Yet I destroyed the Amorite before them, whose stature was like the cedars, and who was stout as the oak, destroying his boughs above and his trunk below.
Yeah, I don't think that metaphor, that explicit metaphor, is supposed to be taken literally.
Like, dude, people don't have tree trunks. When we call the middle of your body your trunk, that's not like tree trunk.
My Unfinished Journey
This
for
is
$2
really,
says, "Hail
really
Daps and
dumb.
Vish and hail hyperbolic giants." Thank you very much. You know, I'm taking a drink because I'm going to go ahead and say that at least that is a Trojan source.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is.
Guys, anytime the
Sure,
Bible is
4?
metaphorical about how tall people are, proof of giants.
I do think that when you take just two of these that use the word Nephilim, Numbers 13:33 and Genesis 6:4, yeah, you can start peeling back some things there, but that's the only two places in Scripture that use that word precisely. There's a lot of other places that talk about these
Job doesn't
giants.
even talk about giants.
Yeah, I don't remember giants at all. Eris Rose, however, has just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. And so while we do that, I am going to have Vishanti tell you which is the best X-Man. And there's only one right answer.
What?
Who's the best
The
X-Man?
best X-Man.
Yeah,
Which team?
all of them. It's Storm. Anyway,
It is Storm.
that's
you
why
know
I
what?
said
You're
there's
right.
there's
I was
only
gonna
one
say,
right answer.
well, it is Storm.
Yeah, it's Storm.
Yeah, it's Storm.
Yeah.
Also, he cites Psalm 82. Psalm 82 is about the divine council. It's about like God, the God of Israel, going in and telling the other gods of the region, like, you guys suck at your job. I'm taking over. Look at me. I'm the high god now. And you're all demoted to mortal status.
Well, Lieutenant Matt the
There's
Navigator.
nothing in here about giants. What is he doing?
I don't know. But Lieutenant Matt the Navigator has just gifted 5 more Dapper Dinosaur memberships, which means now Vishanti gets to tell you about the best romance that the MCU is never going to be able to give us because of an unfortunate death of an actor.
MCU romance? Not X-Men romance? Did I mishear that?
No, it is still X-Men because it's Storm and T'Challa. Yeah. We don't ever get to see.
Now.
Yeah, I know. But I couldn't think of anything that was on topic, so I just went back to Storm and I was like, what's another Storm thing I know about? Oh yeah. You know what? Maybe Storm.
The fact that she also has a comic where she basically goes over to a vampire's house and has like a bout of like terror caused by claustrophobia from being in a casket, a coffin.
That does.
I loaned that out to this dude named Josh when I was in middle school, and he never gave it back.
What a!
I remember that to this day. Salty.
Josh.
Also, his citation for Isaiah 17:5. It's Josh Straechner.
Josh, give her her comic book back.
Give me my comic back, dude. Isaiah 17:5 just says, "In the valley of the Rephaim."
Oh, okay. My Unfinished Stock for $2 says, "Don't take hyperbole at face value. Like and share. Thank you very much." There was a thing I was gonna say. Oh, right. Maybe in the MCU, we can get Storm and Shuri together. It'll be almost the same.
I mean, maybe if you use the Alexandra Ship version of Storm, because I don't think a Halle Berry version of Storm that would.
Well, I'm pretty sure that when we get the X-Men in the MCU in like the next Avengers movie, that Halle Berry isn't going to be playing Storm.
I mean, we don't know that for sure. That's only half the cast that's been announced for like Doomsday Part 1. So,
but I don't think anyone's casting Halle Berry as Storm. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not gonna say never. I didn't think they'd ever bring Pyro back, and he got to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. So
that's fair.
Who knows?
That's fair. Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $1 says that you said $1. Thank you very much. I was trying to think of a thing to say there, and I couldn't think of anything. All right, here we go. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, I see what's happening. Metageeky is just trying to get this thing to the 30 mark so that I have to do an extra stream this weekend. Mm-hmm. That's what's going on. Okay. I see your game.
Yeah, and see, Jillian and I are on the same page. Shuri is played by Letitia Wright, and I don't want more Letitia Wright. Yeah, she's a super big conspiracy theorist, vaccine hesitant person.
No.
So, yeah, Don Cheadle had to like call her in when she was posted. She was like, "Did you know that this one ingredient in a vaccine is called luciferase, and that is like satanic, devil, evil?" Like, man, girl, shut up, stop. That's dumb. Just
And then there's another $1 from Metageeky. You know, I realized I was happier before I knew that. Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy Light for $2.79 Beaver Buck says, "Get Halle Berry back as Catwoman." Ah, still
that's
probably
bold.
not. It's bold,
Okay.
especially given how trash that movie was. Because I definitely needed to see Halle Berry licking her wrists like she's a cat cleaning herself. Because that wasn't weird as hell.
Blaze MKIV in the chat says, "I doubt anyone's casting Halle Berry as anything ageism thing." She was literally in one of the John Wick movies. She was like co-lead. Was it John Wick 3, I think? That was the one where he ended up having to like cross the desert and he cut his finger off to get back in with a high table. She had her 2 dogs. They had little bulletproof vests.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, who was the... Which Catwoman am I thinking of?
I don't know. Can you be more
Oh, well.
specific?
I can't, because I can't remember which one I'm thinking of. So never mind.
TV, movies.
Doesn't matter. Oh, you know what? We should get whoever is descended from Julie Newmar to play Catwoman.
Listen,
Catwoman
my
from the
Catwoman
60s.
is Eartha Kitt.
That's fair. That's fair. Eartha Kitt was good.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's a good Catwoman. All right. Well, we have a lot of Catwoman, although I don't think Eartha Kitt or Julie whatever is available. So
Newmar?
Yeah, I don't think either of them are available. Roshan sends for 99 cents, nothing, and then Sharon Lane also sends $1, which I think gets us not quite. Oh no, it does.
Oh, are you thinking about Anne Hathaway from the?
No,
the
I was
Batmans?
definitely not thinking about Anne Hathaway.
Okay.
I can guarantee that that's not who I was thinking of. I think I might have actually been thinking of Eartha Kitt.
Cool.
Which means I have to come up with a new stream. I'm going to contact
Jaded Germaniac says the sexy one, and I'm like, that doesn't narrow it down.
No, it doesn't. It's kind of one of the requirements to be a sexy one. Wait, what if we got Halle Berry to play like Black Cat, this on again, off again Spider-Man love interest?
I mean, I thought that
she might be a little old, but
I was gonna say, isn't Felicia Hardy like a white girl? So
it's not like the MCU hasn't race swapped people before. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, like MJ, obviously you get Zendaya, so it's not like she can't not be white. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'd like to see it. I don't care.
I think Halle Berry might be a little bit old to play the love interest of anyone who's going to be playing Spider-Man anytime soon, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lieutenant Math Navigator sends a $2 super chat, and I'm going to have to get with Dr. Tapioca Weasel and see if he wants to do a follow-up. Otherwise, I'll have to do something else. Maybe I will cajole Vishanti into doing a follow-up with this if I can't get Tapioca Weasel.
Yeah, we did stall a lot, and he started just shilling for 20 straight minutes almost, so...
18 straight minutes. Actually, it was more like 15.
Oh, 8. Yeah, he really did pick up a lot of stuff from L.A. Marzulli.
It's still proportionally less than L.A. Marzulli, though. We have to acknowledge that.
That's
it's
true.
Still proportionally less. You watch one L.A. Marzulli stream, and it's almost entirely just commercials.
You can.
Oh yeah, they're the Black Cat is Asian in Spider Noir. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't think I knew that.
Man, I really need to watch that because I know like what's her face? Amanda from 12 Monkeys, she's in it briefly. So
oh, here's a weird thing. So for a very long time, one of the only prominent Asian women characters in Marvel was Psylocke. But she's not actually Asian.
Really?
She's a white woman who got body swapped into having an Asian woman's body, and then they just never fixed that.
Jubilee.
I said one of the only. I didn't say the only.
Okay.
There was look, 90s Marvel didn't have a big pool of Asian women characters. And
Lady
one of
Deathstrike.
them wasn't even actually an Asian woman.
Only really get the big picture when you go up and you look at all 20 verses as an assembly, or all 20 passages as an assemblance. So here's the two places the word Nephilim is used in the Bible. Genesis
Yeah, it's only
6:4,
two.
there were giants, or translated Nephilim, on the earth in those days and also afterwards. And most
It's
people
not translated Nephilim. It's
Yeah, it's
Nephilim,
transliterated.
sometimes translated giants.
Right. Yeah.
Dummy.
He doesn't know the difference between translation and transliteration. So, in case anyone
no.
here doesn't, which is fine because you're not out there trying to teach people this stuff, transliteration is when you take a word in a foreign language and you just spell it with your own writing system, right? And so, like, if you were to pick what is an unfortunate thing to have come to my mind first, if you wanted to translate the name Benjamin from the, say, current leader of the state of Israel, his name might be translated as Benjamin, but everyone transliterates his name into Binyamin anyway.
understand that
Translate?
Yeah, because Benjamin isn't a Hebrew name, it's an English name. Binyamin is a Hebrew name, not an English name. But they're basically the same
Okay.
name.
As if you were to translate it, that just means son of my right hand.
Well, yeah, there's that too. But no one's going to put that down.
to mean before and after the flood. And then Tim Chafee from Answers in Genesis, who's a great giant researcher, he's got a very conservative view on it, says, you know, it doesn't necessarily say when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. It could be translated whenever the sons of God came into men. And that could explain how you've got giants after the flood also as a possibility.
Oh, so they didn't have to be on the ark?
All right, man.
Boo. I wanted my ark demon giant zookeepers.
Hey, Fearok Feismonger in the chat says, can Weeaboo stop writing their Hot Asian Girl fantasy plays? That just reminded me, C.B. Cebulski is no longer the editor-in-chief at Marvel.
There you go. Also, no, they can't.
And you're like, how did you get from Weeaboo Asian Girl fantasy to C.B. Cebulski? Because he actually wrote as an Asian person for several years. And you won't be surprised to know he is very not an Asian man.
That doesn't surprise me.
So, yeah.
All right.
And it says they were mighty men who were of renown. And in Numbers 13:33, we saw the Nephilim there. This is the report that comes back. And then it says, parenthetically, the descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seem like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we look the same to them.
Dude, that's what we were talking about as the hyperbole. The following narrative does not actually have people like giants in the conquest narrative. I'm taking another drink.
We are like grasshoppers in their sight, meaning we ain't shit.
The only thing I can come up with here is that he has decided that because the Bible is inerrant, according to him, so are all the words of all the speakers. Because that's the only way you can come up to this. But that's not actually, even the Bible's internal narrative has people lying, right? So normally when someone says the Bible is inerrant, what they don't mean is that everything that everyone says in the Bible is telling the truth and is absolutely correct. Because they say that the narrative is correct. And so if the narrative portrays someone as lying, it portrays their words accurately, but those were lies. Or exaggerations.
Do you expect people to have like media literacy in this day and age?
Oh my God, you're right. It's so frustrating that even when it comes to like just biblical inerrancy itself, he's this bad at that. A thing he should kind of be good at as a guy who's going to pretend to teach you about the Bible. Oh. Fear Feismonger says, when they came into the daughters of men. I mean, it's already pretty explicit, but thank you for that. But yeah, like when the Bible says go into, that's not really a euphemism. That's pretty literal. So, anyway,
yeah,
it is about time to start wrapping this up before this descends into even more nonsense. Button around puts for $2 says, hyperbole will destroy the world. Matt Dillahunty. Look, I'm not here to talk about Matt Dillahunty, so I'm not going to do it. You can't make me. Although it was weird when people insisted that I knew who his girlfriend was. I have no idea why anyone would think that I know who Matt Dillahunty's girlfriend is. I mean, I guess I do now
You don't
know who.
keep up with
No.
any of that. Why would you?
Mm-mm.
It's
Nope.
weird.
Yep. I don't even know if they're still together because that was years ago. And so for all I know, they've broken up.
I think they live together
That
and they
doesn't
raise
mean
the reptiles.
that sounds
I don't know.
vaguely familiar. But I don't know. I mean, hey, look, I hope they are very happy together. I just don't know, and people just seem to think, oh yes, you know who she is. No, I don't. Anyway,
Okay, so I wasn't going
Nope.
to say anything about the Tu Wong Fu references in chat, but I do love that movie. But somebody just brought up Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and I just want to say that if you haven't seen that and you want to see Hugo Weaving play a very good drag queen, excellent movie. And yes, Terrence Stamp's character is canonically trans. So,
there you go.
bam.
All right, so let's see what's coming up here on today is Tuesday. So on it feels weird because it feels like this is a Saturday because you're here and we got this set and everything. So why I didn't go through the drinking triggers because it feels like it's a Saturday show. Anyway, on Thursday we've got premiere coming out is the second part of the Georgia Purdom talking about genetics thing, and it is Georgia Purdom hates science. So this is the bit where Georgia Purdom is going to tell you what she thinks is the proper way to go about learning about the world and what she doesn't like about so-called secular science. And it's basically going to come down to she absolutely hates the actual process of science. She cannot stand it. She wants science to stop.
Her degree should be revoked for that.
I tend to agree, but I am not in charge, and so her degree stands as far as I know. That is going to be premiering at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Then on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be joined by, right now, it looks like a friend of mine who's been in the chat here and there, as well as Zerolon and Manya, and we are going to just go over to Top Hats Off, and we're going to just stream some Dark Tide for funsies. So if you want to see 3 noobs and me, who is of intermediate skill, I think, in the game, go get slaughtered by a bunch of Nurgle cultists, come hang out for that. Then on Saturday, I believe that myself and Vishanti and Kip will all be around for what is going to be the final video about that guy. Maybe Vish isn't going to be there.
There's a possibility that Kip may not be on a couple of Saturday streams because of the move. Because we're not doing Friday streams on his channel for a couple weeks.
We'll see what happens, but I'll be here.
So that's a possibility. You have to tune in to find out.
Vish it seems like she'll be here, and maybe Kip will be here. All right, so then I don't know when the extra stream is going to be. I have to get with people for potential guest spots to see what I want to do. Right now, what I'm thinking is I'm going to try to either get Dr. Tapioca Weasel to go continue on with that physics thing, or get Vish to continue on with this Nephilim thing. And I'll have to talk to both of them and see who wants to do what and everything. And it's also not you have to answer now. So Vish, don't tell me your answer now. Later. Okay. But there will be that stream, and I will also double check to see whether it is like later on Saturday afternoon or if it's on Sunday and which time Sunday. So whatever. Also on, I believe, I have to double check. It might be actually tomorrow, but the Triumvirate is getting back within the next 8 days, and it could be as soon as tomorrow, because there's a guy, Cherhati, who's a creationist, who was recently on Donnie Badinsky's channel, and all 3 of us have got stuff to say about that guy. So the Triumvirate is making a comeback. We had to go on a little bit of a hiatus while Erica was in the jungle. Obviously, she wasn't going to be, streaming with us from Borneo. So now that she is back and not in the jungle and is only dealing with one species of primate in the area, we're going to be streaming. So then next Tuesday, Jackson with Jackson is the plan. I'm going to be double checking with Jackson to make sure, but he's almost certainly going to be down for it because he almost always is. And that is what's coming up in the next week or so. So if you are interested, we're going to be watching a couple episodes of Star Trek Enterprise over on the Discord. We're in season 3.
Are you still in season 3?
Oh, yeah. Okay. We're only on episode 5 or something of season 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the season with the Zindi.
The random Shran Andorian pop up in that season.
Don't spoil it.
Nobody.
Don't spoil it.
Dorian Mining Consortium. It's so funny.
All right. So that is what's coming up for the next week. Jillian Wren, I will give you as much heads up as I can. I can't make too many promises though.
Also, Enterprise is 20 years old, which makes me feel terrible.
Yeah. Just don't think about that right now.
Oh, a bunch of the Enterprise guys are coming to DragonCon this year. It's the 40th anniversary of DragonCon, so I'm
Nice.
very excited. So if any of y'all want to like go do Enterprise stuff, let me know. Also, I did want to show off my little Rise plushie again because he's very
It's
cute.
very cool. Also, somehow the counter, the funding counter, were really tiny. I don't know how that happened, but I'm taking a drink for it. All right. Well, that's it for us. Come hang out in Discord if you want to. And the last thing I have to say is stay safe out there, and ICE must be abolished.
Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Bent Hovend, Tapioca Weasel, The Plastic Mouse, Mikhail Dominiak, Sphincter of Doom, Regios, Landon Knoll, Eleron Teller, Phil Rivera, David Hercules, Joshua Geese, Dan Sheedy, Pegajace, Arrow Dodger, Gordon Love Science, Ember Athelian, Prixie Purple, Agricola Sequa, Me, Myself, and I, Ian Kiambi, Kenneth Swenson, Max Cherry, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 15% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.